So, a new detail about the DJI Pocket 4 lineup has surfaced. And while it's not outright bad news, it's definitely the kind of development that makes people pause and reread the fine print. This isn't a cancellation, a disaster, or a sign that DJI is pulling the plug on its consumer gear altogether. Instead, it sits in that uncomfortable middle space, slightly concerning, somewhat expected, and very much shaped by the larger political and regulatory environment DJI is now operating in. To really understand what's happening with the Pocket 4, you can't look at it in isolation. You have to zoom out and look at the broader context, especially the recent developments surrounding the DJI ban and the FCC's actions, because that context explains why timelines are shifting, why rumors feel louder than usual, and why even confirmed products now come with asterisks attached. The core issue starts with the FCC adding DJI, along with several other foreign-made drone companies, to its national security covered list. This list isn't new, and it isn't exclusive to DJI, but its implications are serious. Being placed on this list means that certain types of equipment, especially those involving regulated wireless communications, are now considered potential national security risks in the eyes of U.S. regulators. DJI often gets singled out in headlines, but it's important to understand that companies like Auto Robotics and others are affected too. This isn't a personal vendetta against one brand. It's part of a broader policy direction aimed at foreign-manufactured communications hardware. The practical effect of this move is that any new drones or new critical components made outside the United States can no longer receive FCC equipment authorization. And without that authorization, companies can't legally import, market, or sell those products in the U.S. going forward. That single regulatory bottleneck is what's driving most of the uncertainty right now. Naturally, once this news broke, panic followed. Social media posts, YouTube thumbnails, and sensational headlines quickly framed the situation as if DJI drones were about to be remotely shut down or banned overnight. But that's simply not how this works. Existing DJI drones that already received FCC authorization before this decision remain legal. They can still be flown recreationally, used commercially, sold secondhand, and operated just like before. There's no retroactive ban, no forced grounding, and no secret kill switch waiting to be flipped. If anything, the biggest practical impact for consumers right now is inventory. Once existing stock runs out, replacements and new models could be harder or impossible to find in the US, which is why people who were already planning to buy a DJI drone are being advised to act sooner rather than later. For commercial operators, the advice is less dramatic and more logistical. Keep your firmware updated while updates are still readily available. Stock up on spare batteries, propellers, and other consumables. Back up your flight logs and data. Document your fleet details clearly so you're not scrambling later. And perhaps most importantly, understand that the Federal Aviation Administration has not grounded DJI drones. The FAA still recognizes them as legal aircraft. Your Part 107 license is still valid. There's no mass deactivation, no sudden revocation of airspace access, and no enforcement action targeting people who are already operating DJI equipment legally. That distinction matters, because the FCC and FAA operate in very different regulatory lanes, and a lot of online commentary tends to blur those lines. Looking forward, however, the picture does become less optimistic, especially when it comes to new product releases. The bottleneck is FCC approval. Any new device model released after the cutoff date that requires FCC authorization to be sold in the US could be affected. Drones are the most visible example because they rely heavily on radio communications, but they're not the only products that use wireless spectrum. This is where things start to feel murky, because DJI's ecosystem extends far beyond drones. Cameras, gimbals, microphones, and handheld devices all use some form of wireless connectivity, whether it's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or proprietary transmission systems. That raises questions about how far these restrictions might eventually reach. There's also a software angle that doesn't get talked about enough. Right now, DJI apps like DJI Fly and DJI Mimo are still available on the App Store and Google Play Store. You can download them, update them, and use them as normal. But if restrictions tighten in the future, rolling out updates could become more complicated. That doesn't mean your device would suddenly stop working. DJI isn't going to brick your camera or gimbal. But over time, staying fully up to date could become harder, especially if App Store policies or regulatory pressure change. For long-term users, that introduces a slow-burn kind of uncertainty rather than an immediate crisis. The silver lining in all of this is that any DJI product that already had FCC approval before the decision remains viable. It can be owned, flown, used commercially or recreationally, and resold. That's why already authorized upcoming products, like the rumored Nevada 360 drone, are still very much in play. As long as the paperwork was approved before the cutoff, those products aren't automatically dead on arrival. This detail often gets lost in the noise, but it's crucial for understanding why some DJI launches are continuing, while others are being delayed or rethought. That brings us to the big question many people are asking. Does this ban officially affect other DJI products beyond drones? The honest answer is that it's still unclear. Some outlets have run with sweeping headlines claiming the ban affects DJI's entire lineup, including gimbals, cameras, microphones, and filmmaking gear. But those claims aren't coming directly from FCC language. They're interpretations, projections, and speculation about where policy could go next. The FCC's actual focus, at least for now, is on unmanned aircraft systems and critical communication components. In other words, drones, their radios, and anything that operates extensively on regulated wireless spectrum. Products that don't rely heavily on RF communications generally don't need the same level of FCC equipment authorization, which gives DJI some breathing room outside the drone category. So where does that leave the Osmo Pocket for? This is where things get more concrete. The key detail is that FCC approval for the Pocket 4 has already happened. That alone is significant because it means the product isn't being pulled or blocked due to the recent FCC decision. Its existence and legality aren't suddenly in question. Earlier leaks and reports suggested DJI was planning two versions, a standard Pocket 4 and a Pocket 4 Pro, with the Pro model distinguished primarily by a second camera and enhanced imaging capabilities. According to photos and supply chain leaks, DJI is still targeting a January launch for the standard Pocket 4. That timeline appears intact, and there's no indication that the standard model is being delayed because of regulatory pressure. The Pocket 4 Pro, however, is a different story. Multiple creators have claimed they've received official confirmation that the Pro model is still happening, but later than initially expected. It's not pegged specifically for April anymore, but sometime after April, which places it firmly in late spring territory. This kind of staggered release isn't unprecedented for DJI, especially when dealing with more complex hardware. The Pro model likely involves additional sensors, more advanced processing, and potentially more scrutiny when it comes to regulatory compliance. In the current climate, it makes sense that DJI would choose to slow things down rather than rush a higher-end product into a hostile regulatory environment. That delay doesn't necessarily signal trouble with the Pocket line itself. If anything, it suggests DJI is being cautious. The company is clearly aware that every new product launch is now being examined more closely, not just by consumers and competitors, but by regulators and policymakers as well. Releasing the standard Pocket 4 first allows DJI to maintain momentum, satisfy creators who have been waiting for an upgrade, and keep the Osmo Pocket brand relevant. Holding back the Pro version gives them time to navigate any additional hurdles, refine the product, and reduce risk. What's interesting is how this situation highlights a potential shift in DJI's strategy. For years, DJI has dominated drones so thoroughly that other product categories sometimes felt secondary. But as drone restrictions tighten, non-drone products like handheld cameras, gimbals, and creator-focused tools could become increasingly important to the company's future. The Pocket 4, especially if it succeeds, isn't just another camera. It's a signal that DJI still sees a strong market outside of aerial platforms. Whether regulators will eventually turn their attention more aggressively toward those categories remains to be seen. At the same time, consumer perception plays a huge role here. Even if a product is legally unaffected, the perception of risk can influence buying decisions. Some users may hesitate to invest in DJI gear if they believe future support could be compromised. Others may do the opposite, rushing to buy while they still can. That tension creates a strange market dynamic where perfectly legal, functional products are treated as if they're endangered species. For DJI, managing that narrative may be just as important as managing compliance paperwork.